Cutback for Vassilev, and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal in his Union debut? The record signing, off and running in his first appearance for the club.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and can you guys believe it? The first time in 2026, the Philadelphia Union have won back-to-back games. Is it the new manager bump? Is it the fans? Is it a mixture of all the above? Is it John Shear? Who knows? Doesn't matter. The Philadelphia Union back-to-back wins for the first time in 2026. They earned their first shutout since the game against Nashville back in May. Vibes are high at Subaru Park, as the cool kids say, and we'll see how long this streak goes on for, Jose. But one thing's for sure, we know the fans of the Philadelphia Union, they all turn out and listen to the show when the Union are winning. And so for the sake of the show, we hope this streak continues their roll. But how are you, Jose?
I'm doing well, man. I'm back on the East Coast. It's I miss my kids, miss my dog, miss my house, miss my own bed, my own toilet. So it's nice to be back at home, right? But catching up, body and time zone are not quite aligned just yet. So like the last couple of days, going to bed at finally falling asleep, I should say, at like 2-3 in the morning, just because I usually go to bed at like around 11 midnight on a regular basis. So been a bit of a struggle, but today I did a lot of different things to make sure I'm tired for tonight so I can go to bed at like 10 o'clock. But man, what a good match. I did not get to go to the stadium yesterday. Just needed to spend some more family time. I also had MLS assignment, which did not actually have the Philadelphia Union. I'll tell you what, this is actually, it's given when I say my home. My wife is part of my home. So, and Todd knows my wife. She knows I appreciate and would have missed the hell out of her while away. But missed that exciting game yesterday, man. In person, I'm sure the stadium felt a little different than it has the entire first half of the season. And I don't know, dare we say the Union are playing pretty good ball for the first time this year. I know they showed some flashes, but man, like that was some good ball yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And you know what I find so impressive about that game, Jose, is that the Union, only one goal. One goal was needed. I don't think Seattle really threatened the Union that much. It felt like from the start to finish that the Union had control of the match, which we haven't been able to say at all this season. I think even against Red Bull on Wednesday, there was moments where Andre Blake had to make a couple big saves to keep the Union in that game, a couple maybe missed clearances. Nathan Harry, I'm talking about specifically. Blake comes up big with that 1v1 save against Julian Hall. Could have been 2-1 Red Bull there in that moment. So, look, the Union, I know, could have been up in that game with Frankie Westfield, with Bruno Damiani. But at the end of the day, right, Jose? Your players are stepping up when you need them to make big plays. And we saw it against Red Bull. We saw it again last night with Iloski scoring. Almost had two, a little bit unfortunate, right, that the pass from Cavan was a smidge late. But all in all, if you're a Philadelphia Union fan, you can't be complaining about what you're seeing from this club the last two games. And maybe what's even more impressive is only a 3-day rest, Jose, from Wednesday to Saturday, and to get 6 points, almost equal your points total that you had in 15 games, tells you all you need to know how bad the beginning of the season was for the Philadelphia Union.
No, and that's just it, man. Like for the Union to make this climb, right, which is crazy to think that 6 points feels like a gigantic climb, but that's just the reality of where things were. Hard to but also not too hard to attribute exactly what it's all about. But like, I don't know, man. And listening to some of the comments from players after the game that you thoughtfully captured and others in our orbit captured after the match, one thing that struck me is that, Nate specifically mentioning, nothing against Bradley, but like, it feels like there's joy back, right?
Yeah.
It feels like there's some sense of happiness back. And
we're actually going to play
also,
that clip tonight.
Okay. So I won't go into it too much. And then the other bit of it of a sound clip that really stuck to me, and maybe you'll play this one too. It's like Richter talking about how, like, when you're winning, no one questions things, but once you start losing, it's like you start asking some questions, and you start asking some more difficult questions. So I know we've fallen sort of in the middle, probably more towards the, like, we maybe feel that Carnell got a little hard done by the firing in a way. At least I think that's where I felt going into it. You can't deny that this manager bump, which it really isn't a manager bump, I don't think you can attribute it to that or call it that, since Richter has been part of the organization for how many years now, right? That, like, there's I hate to say there's nothing new about him, but there's really nothing new about him, right? Outside of, like, maybe instructing what drills to do and this and that. So, like, and even then he was running practices while Jim Curtin was leading the squad. So, like, manager bump or not, it's just fun to watch a good Philadelphia Union game for once, or twice now in the bounce.
Yeah, I agree. So we do have some news, Jose, to talk about real quick. And I mean, it does have to do with one of the topics I want to talk about. So we won't spend too much talking about his performance, but maybe some of you guys in the comment section know what I am talking about. But if not, then let's go straight into the news. All right, so that news is, and this is a little bit of an odd one. Did you get your vote in today, Jose, with North American Soccer Reporters, where they wanted votes in today at 12 p.m. so MLS can go out and announce Team of the Match Day for Match Day 19. And it was announced, Frankie Westfield named to the Team of the Match Day for his performance against Seattle Sounders. Again, Jose, I don't want to talk too much about his performance last night specifically, but looking at how well Frankie played last year with the Union, this is his first career Team of the Match Day honor, Jose, where, let's face it, it's not the prettiest of seasons whatsoever. You would have thought last year when the Union are winning the Supporters Shield, just winning for fun, I think, an 11 or 12 game unbeaten run, you would think that Westfield would at least pick up a Team of the Match Day somewhere last season. Doesn't, and 2 games into the Ryan Richter era, well, here's Frankie Westfield getting that honor from the folks like you and I who vote for those awards around MLS.
Yeah, well deserved. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. That the way that he plays the defense, the way that he progresses the ball forward, as you saw yesterday with how quick, and obviously a team goal, as I think Ryan Richter also mentioned. I couldn't hear it completely well as I was on the treadmill listening this morning to the press conference, post-match press conference. But the way that ball moved, and for Frankie to, and I said this to you after the match, like, I feel that Frankie Westfield had evolved in such a way and at such a meteoric rate that the ball that he played, I would be more concerned if he didn't make the pass at this point, just because how good he has gotten, where I think I've come to expect those types of passes and those types of breaking of the lines, that if he wasn't doing them, I would be more concerned than I am excited about him doing it. So for this to be his first is kind of crazy. And I just think that he's going to be a very, and we can talk, I know we will talk more about the match and the makeup of that match, but last night alone, I think could be a pretty good look at potentially four players. I'm not going to say starters, would be ideal. 4 starters that could be part of that 2030 World Cup team, all on the field last night. Maybe three. Yeah, definitely three. I should have said four. Three players that are Philadelphia Union homegrowns that I think they have an incredible shot at being starters in the 2030 World Cup. So big ups to Frankie. Many European teams I'm aware that are interested in him, and there's some high caliber teams. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Last thing I'll say about this before we talk about last night's game between Philadelphia and Seattle, Jose, is I'm not quite sure why. I saw it on Thursday, I believe it was, when Kai Wagner was named to team of the match day. I don't know why the Union had said at that point that Kai Wagner became only the fourth Union player this season to win team of the match day honor. When you look at match day 7, unless the Union aren't counting, well, they can't, because I don't believe Iloski was in the starting 11 for Miami. I'll go back and double check, but Jesus Bueno and Jafet Siri also earned team of the match day honors back in match day 7 against Montreal. And the Union aren't counting that.
To be against Montreal. It had to be against Montreal of all teams, right?
Yeah. and the Union aren't counting that. They have Makanya match day 8, Sullivan match day 13, which was his performance against Orlando City, I believe. Milan Iloski 15, Kai Wagner, obviously on Wednesday, and now Frankie Westfield. I don't know why they're not considering, even though it was on the bench, but I'm like, well, they were named, not in a starting lineup. I mean, not in a starting spot, which, again, yeah, I'm obviously trying to stall for time, Jose, while I look to see if Milan Iloski was on the bench or not. But I don't know. I feel like if I can pull this up, if I'm quick enough, sometimes the internet's faster than how my hands want to move. I feel like they got to go back and correct that. But as I continue to stall for time, Frankie Westfield is an incredible player, Jose. I know we'll talk about that here in a second. But to your point, yeah, Cavan Sullivan, I mentioned, got on the team of the match day, and then Frankie Westfield. I mean, that's a testimony, I think, to the work that the Union have done over the years with the academy. And now, not saying that you've never seen the academy blossom, because obviously you have the Jack McGlynn's of the world, Quinn Sullivan, I would say, is been with the team for a while, Nathan Harriel, Matt Freese. But now you're starting to see some of these younger players, because don't forget, Jose, it was only 2 seasons ago that Cavan Sullivan and Frankie Westfield were playing in MLS Next Pro with Union 2, and now they're becoming regulars with the first team and looking like they belong, making a difference out there every time that they're called upon. And Neil Pierre had himself a solid performance. And again, I know I'm kind of getting ahead to your point, which you wanted to talk about, but now we're seeing the next wave of homegrown players come up and make a difference. As I completely caught you in a horrible spot. My bad.
You're good. No, yes. I mean, what struck me yesterday is that ultimately at one point on the field, they had 5 homegrown players out of the 11, right? With Quinn, Cavan, Nate, Frankie, and Neil. 5 homegrown players on the field, and one that feels like a new signing. Well, 2 that feel like new signings, right? With Neil Pierre and Quinn Sullivan, basically new signings for this season, right? The way that they've been reintroduced into the squad after this restart of MLS play. And then just other, Cavan, who is continuing to just be in incredible form. I would think a lesser game yesterday than the Red Bull game, at least in my opinion. It cracked me up that what Seattle fans were pumping their chest about yesterday was Cavan Sullivan getting rocked by a 19-year-old from their center back when that throw-in came through, and that was the thing that they were clinging on to. I think if that's the thing you're clinging on to for your club on a five loss streak, things are pretty bad within that organization right now in terms of fan base and even the media. It's just five guys that are just balling out, right? Like it's just incredible to see. And I think, like a sneaky game from Neil Pierre, like sure, Cavan gets the attention. Quinn comes in and almost scores there at the end. Probably was a little mad that Cavan didn't cross the ball in the one shot. Yeah, there you go. Yep, I wouldn't disagree, though I don't want to put words into their mouths. But ultimately, just five guys that are balling out and seem to be very much the Ryan Richter knows these guys just so well and knows how to make them work, that when you have 5 out of your 11 just kids that you watch grow up is just, I'm sure, such an advantage for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go. As you did a spectacular job there, Jose, so I had time to find this. So you can see right here, hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. Matchday 7. Down here, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor. Bench and coach, Jesus Bueno and Jafet Siri. That's Matchday 7. Both players on the bench. Matchday 15. Go down here to bench, Milan Iloski. So I don't know what the Union are doing. Why aren't they counting Jafet Siri and Jesus Bueno's team of the match performance or team of the match day performance when it's clearly listed on MLS's website? Should that be blunder of the week? Potentially. Come on.
Go ahead and send an email to the people we know. Get that fixed, Todd.
Will do. I mean, somebody has to be watching right now, and so yeah. I have the receipts. That's why I pulled it up, and now it's going to be magically fixed. I guarantee you, Jose, once you click on the team website, it'll be magically fixed, and they'll put Jesus Bueno and Jafet Siri. Or people in the comment section can go ahead and tag both players on social media right now. Not trying to get anybody in trouble, but if you guys really want to stir the pot, screenshot it and tag them on Instagram. Be like, hey, the Union forgetting about your performance against Montreal.
I don't for a second believe that Tom Villa was involved with any of this, because Tom Villa is one of the most on the point people that I've ever worked with in PR. Tom Villa, for the unaware, is I don't know his exact title. I just know that he's a walking statistician in terms of like record book for the Philadelphia Union. Just an unbelievable like mind, and the times that I've listened to him just talking to other people just spew out like facts about the team. And I know it's his job, right? But like, he is so on the nose, and the times I've don't want to use the word collaborated, but the times I've communicated with him, I'm always impressed, because he's on the point. He does not miss. So I don't for a second believe that Tom Villa was consulted in this mistake, unless there's some sort of loophole I'm not thinking about that they didn't actually contextualize in their note.
Hopefully it's not AI. But Tom's official role is Director of Digital Fan Engagement. But yeah, come on. Somebody's got to fix that. But let's go ahead, Jose, and talk about some more serious business. Philadelphia Union versus Seattle Sounders. Again, 1-0 performance for the Union. Fantastic game, I would say, overall. I mean, in my opinion, I think Frankie Westfield was the man in the match. I know Iloski scores the goal last night, but if you look around that entire team last night, Jose, I don't think a single person had a bad game. I thought everybody did their job. Everybody was solid. Everybody contributed to helping the Union get all 3 points. Sorry.
Yes. Also, yes. I mean, if we're looking for weakest link, which the floor and the ceiling are so high in the way that the Union have played these last 2 games comparatively to the first half of the season, I would say that maybe Indy Vassilev, but even then, like, he was doing some good work of splitting players. He was doing some good work of working. I saw many a times where it feels like he went back to the start of the 2025 season and even the mid-season, I should say, where he just puts his head down and he knows he's probably not going to get the ball, but just being a bother for midfielders and strikers trying to penetrate defense and try to move the ball around. He's just working box to box nonstop. So like, when that's the guy you have to on the night say it was the weakest link, despite the way he played, like, you know, it's a good game, right? So even the substitutes for as little as they played to maybe the ones that played a little bit longer, like Alado was hustling out there. Maybe got the ball stuck to his feet a couple of times. Couldn't get a 5-yard pass off, but he was out there sprinting and you could tell that he was feeling it. Yeah, there you go. All in all, it was just an impressive game. And yes, though Seattle's going through a pretty bad form, that's a team that always tends to perform and make it hard on teams. You alluded to it earlier, did not feel like Seattle really had a chance or really had a real opportunity outside of maybe one mix-up where I don't think that Nate and Pierre really knew who was catching who on like a random floated cross in the second half, I believe. Looking at my notes, I didn't put a minute mark, so that's on me. But nonetheless, like if that's the worst, then shit, like what a good game, especially against a good team that's just going through a pretty bad run right now. This is also uncharted territory for Seattle. I want to make that known, right? They started two 19-year-olds that are typically Tacoma Defiance players, suddenly being boosted into the first team. But I would counter by saying that, yeah, the Union just put in an 18-year-old, albeit a blue chip prospect, as well as 6'7", and a converted right back into a center back as two center backs for their strikers to deal with. Which I know Beppo de la Vega is not playing. They're just being hammered by injuries. Wolfie just also mentioned the same thing. So like, I get it, like decimated, but let's not make too many excuses here. Like Seattle played really, really bad, and the Union just figured it out.
Yeah, and another thing too, Jose, I think that quietly gets missed in this game, and I don't know if you picked this up, is Andre Blake had a really good game, and he only had one save. But what stood out about Andre's game is his goal kicks, playing out of the back. His distribution was really good, Jose, and a lot of the Union's chances last night came from Andre. I mean, that's how the goal started, right? And Ryan Richter talked about it after the game too, just Andre Blake and Neil Pierre moving the ball quickly out of the back to find Frankie Westfield on the right side of the field. And you and I have talked so many times on this podcast about how we're always so impressed with Andrew Rick with the ball at his feet. It's one of his strongest suits of his game. And yeah, Andre is one of those, I feel like, last-gen goalkeepers where being good with the ball at your feet really didn't matter. You just need to be a good shot stopper. But so many times last night, Jose, we didn't see Andre, or at least I didn't feel like Andre was just hoofing the ball upfield just to hoof the ball upfield. No, I thought he did well finding those long ball passes and connecting with his teammates to get potential chances. And yeah, the Union only scored one goal last night. But Ryan talked about it, right? For this team to go back to the playoffs, to reach the playoffs again, Andre has to be at his very best. He said it again last night about Danley, Jacques, who again, I think, Jose, this is back-to-back performances from Danley that we've seen where maybe you could say this is best 2-game stretch ever for the Union. I know people are like, yeah, he needs to get his shooting a little bit better. He needs to get shots on target. But I'm okay with that from a center defensive midfielder, right? If you're winning ball backs, if you're distributing out of the back, being a playmaker and maestro in that position, hustling, I'm totally fine with that. And that's exactly what you're getting from Danley Jacques. He looks completely different. Him and Jovan Lukic both look completely different than they did the first 15 games of the season, where some people are arguing, well, last year was just a fluke. These guys don't have it. They look a shell on themselves. Well, 2 games under Ryan Richter, they look like they're back to what they were last year.
Yeah, hold on. I'm communicating with somebody right now.
No, you're good. I mean, there's just so many standout performances, and I know we're going to talk specifically about Milan Iloski's run of form here, his last 5 games. We'll go ahead and talk about Frankie Westfield specifically, and we spend so much time on this podcast talking about him, but it's because this kid's special, and we don't have to remind the listeners every single time about how close he was to go into Penn State, but it was very close, very close. And credit to Ernst Tanner, credit to the agent, the family for getting this deal done, for getting him a Union 2 contract, and credit to Frankie for pushing as hard as he did, making as big of an impact that he did with Union 2. And So we'll obviously talk about those two players specifically, and then the team overall just buying into the message that Ryan Richter has been sharing with this team. But like I said, Jose, Andre Blake, Danley, Jacques, maybe they're not setting the stat sheet on fire, but they've been really solid these last 2 games.
Yeah, the one thing I don't want to get lost in this conversation, and I know it's priority, right? The Union have to win games. They just nearly doubled their wins, I should say, right? Nearly doubled their wins of their season and could match them very quickly, or are getting close to matching. Sorry, and they're not worried about doing X, Y, or Z outside of winning and beating the next team. Ryan said as much, right? He's right now, like he's at such a point in the season and where he's picking up that like they just have to worry about the next guy. They can't worry about like who they play in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Especially when you think about players. Blake playing well. I wonder, is Leagues Cup going to be an Andrew Rick tournament? You know, like this is a guy who went on and did practice. Was part of the practice squad, was a practice player for the U.S. men's national team during the World Cup, was with them all the way through the really shitty Belgium game. Now he goes back to the Philadelphia Union. They're starting to win. How do you incorporate him? How do you leverage him? Because otherwise he is very much like Neil Pierre, like Neil Pierre was, like really good talent that just needs an outlet to go and play, right? So I wonder what the plan is, what the conversations are. I do wonder how they go ahead and deal with Andrew Rick, and he needs minutes, he needs to play, because we know that I shouldn't say we know. Data would show that at some point or another, Andre Blake's going to get some sort of knock, right? In the way that he's progressed throughout his entire Union career. Rick just needs to get minutes. So I don't know. I'm wondering about what that looks like. And are the 3 Leagues Cup matches going to be Andrew Rick games? I wonder.
They should be.
You would think, right?
Yeah. They absolutely should be. But I guess we'll see. I mean, this team had almost 2 months off. I know that they had been training for a couple weeks, but yeah, I don't know. It's practice is a lot different than games, and you want to keep obviously these guys match fit, match sharpness, and you're going to want Blake to be as comfortable in form as possible. And I know there's a long way to go for playoffs, but at the same time, you're right. How many times have we talked about it here on the show that that Andrew Rick should be playing more games? And I know there's been some people that disagreed with both of us, saying that every time we said, yeah, Andrew Rick should be playing in the USL to get a higher level playing than MLS Next Pro, people are like, well, if Andre Blake gets hurt, then you need a goalkeeper that's capable of filling in. So yeah, it's a weird situation, I think, that Andrew Rick finds himself in. And yeah, if I was Ryan Richter, I would probably play him, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We have 2 more weeks before Leagues Cup starts back up, if I'm not mistaken. It's coming quick. It's so quick.
So it's All-Star game this Wednesday, right? Which actually I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'll say it out loud. I have no desire to watch. Okay. Whew, confirmed. I have no assignment for that game. So, yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay. Wait, there are no Sunday games next week? I thought they had a Sunday game.
No, Saturday game. They play Atlanta on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I meant MLS as a whole. I didn't realize it didn't have a Sunday game. It's everything's on Saturday, the entire slate.
Wow, and the Union did you dirty too with the game against Cruz Azul. Decided to put it on August 6th and not August 5th.
it's an irrelevant day on the 5th. Don't worry about it. I'm intrigued to see what the Union do. Sorry to derail that. But yeah, the Leagues Cup is nearly here, which is crazy that we're getting into this.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that the Union are back in it, back in the competition. But let's go ahead and derail from this train that's absolutely it's taken a positive turn, Jose. I mean, everybody loves Leagues Cup. It's a phenomenal tournament. I know the chat's all so happy to watch Leagues Cup again. I mean, if I'm being honest, the only reason I'm excited is to see Nakasa and Julian Kranza return to Subaru Park, but it's neither here or there. But positive, Milan Iloski, run of form, been fantastic for the Philadelphia Union. What a signing he's been from Nordjylland in Denmark. And I got to imagine, Jose, that San Diego is kicking themselves for not being able to get a deal done. I mean, all this guy does is score. 7 goals in his last 5 games, scored in 5 straight games with the Union, leads the club in goals with 9, 4 goals away from tying Peter Musa with the most goals in the league. It seems like he's finding the form when it matters most, Jose. 2 games in under Ryan Richter, scoring in both games. I know he said last night to us after the game that he feels like he could have had 5 or 6 in these last 2 games.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, he didn't hold his run against Seattle there for that Cavan assist. That was an awesome drive by Cavan, and then ultimately the ball just came a little too late, or Iloski missed it. But yeah, he's playing spectacular ball and putting the ball in the back of the net. I don't want to take anything away from him, but obviously the keeper kind of gave him a bit of an alley-oop yesterday with coming out when he didn't really, I don't think he really needed to. But then again, it's Iloski, and people know that he can score. But my goodness, if we're going to talk of things he needs to improve, is those set pieces. Still a bit of a mess when it comes to the crossing and whatnot. But yeah, Iloski is in fine form, and it makes you wonder, like, was he just at the doorstep of the first half of the season and suddenly things are clicking, or, was it just the ball didn't bounce the right way? I don't know, but things seem to be just going the way for him. And probably at this point, though, I'm intrigued to see Atlanta. I believe they just got the Paraguayan defender. How do they mark Iloski? I wouldn't think he earns himself a double team, but he's scoring in such a way right now that, like, maybe you do. I'm not sure, but happy for him that he's performing back to the way that he knows.
Yeah, and he's talked about it, right? The conversations him and Ryan Richter had, where he was a tweener playing between a number 10 and one of the forwards last year. And Ryan Richter made it very clear, said, I view you as a forward. You are a forward how I want to play. And when you have a clear defined role, I think that does wonders for your confidence. And I don't think anybody questioned Iloski's goal scoring ability, because we had a front row view of that last year where he scored 12 goals between Philadelphia and San Diego, and already at 9 goals with the Union, a pretty bad team that doesn't have to be talked about much more in the first 15 games. But yeah, in a negative season, those games, he was one of the few shining lights. I think Cavan Sullivan's another one that came in to the season well towards the end of Bradley Cornell's tenure. But yeah, Iloski seems very confident, Jose, has a very defined role in this system. He's a striker that stretches the back line. How many times have you and I been saying on this podcast, like, they need somebody stretching the back line? It was Mikal Uhre, and we saw it at times with Milan, but when he's not constantly playing up top, again, I feel like having a defined role does wonders for players' confidence.
Yeah, a lot of these different things that are happening right now, I think, are improving the team as a whole, right? Like being genuinely happy, as we talk about joy earlier, and we'll probably listen to that clip as you mentioned in a little bit. But the defining of the roles, and as Sean Bailey mentioned, and we've stressed this, right? Kai comes in, he can create, and he also draws the attention of defenders in a way that just wasn't there before, right? Defenders can't get too close because he's going to beat them on the dribble, meaning Kai. But if defenders stay away too far, Kai can just put a great ball with his left foot. So it's like a dual threat, allowing Iloski to maybe find better space, to find himself inside the box rather than having to dribble in, etc. So, and to maybe better illustrate just how bad per se the team has been the first half of the season, Frankie leads the team with assists as a right back, right? Like for that to be your leader in assists is pretty telling of maybe how not so great of a season they've been having. Crosses aside, etc. And we also know that, and I think we can all acknowledge, Frankie is not Kai. So for Kai to be leading in assists is one thing. For Frankie to be leading in assists, I think means something completely different.
Agreed. But what about this comment from Dark Wing? Says, I'd like to see Sal Estas paired with Iloski up front and see how that works. It's a take. It's a hot take, especially Sal Livas.
Where is he?
I don't think we see Sal Livas with the first team anymore this season. He's been on the bench for Union 2. Was on the bench last night, right? In back-to-back games, I think, for Union 2. Jillian? Help me out.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jillian. Like, we'll put the bad signal like Jillian. Like, I genuinely have not seen a sighting of the kid in a little bit. Then again, I haven't been like closely watching Union 2 matches just during my travels and whatnot.
Jillian says he trains with Union 2. Sal's with Union 2. Sal needs to be loan. Eddie too. And again, and we'll move on, Jose, I think, to the next player, unless there's anything else you want to talk about with Iloski. But you say it all the time, Jose, that there's certain players that graduate from MLS Next Pro and they need to be playing at a higher league. And we see it with CJ Olney. We see it with Marcus Anderson. Two players I would say that graduated way past MLS Next Pro. John Sherry even said so with Neil Pierre coming back when they were trying to figure out what they exactly want to do with him. And I think there's no way, or maybe we get surprised, but I really can't see a world where Neil Pierre gets loaned out again. And John said that, yeah, he's not coming back to play in MLS Next Pro. Like, he needs to play at a higher level. And I think there are quite a few players that are like that with Union 2. And I agree, Jillian, probably Sal and Eddie see what they can do in other leagues, though I would argue if Sal's not getting in at MLS Next Pro, what makes you think that he would get in at USL Championship? I don't know. Just something to consider. Anything else, though, Jose, on the forwards? Milan Iloski, before we talk about Frankie Westfield?
No, I think that's a wrap. We can move on and keep this moving. I know you're tired. I'm tired.
Oh, so tired.
Yeah, we can keep this a nice and swift one, especially since it's 3 days between games.
Yeah, for sure. Frankie Westfield, man of the match performance, 3 straight games with assists. I don't know how long we're talking about Frankie. Probably a while, if we're being honest. 5 assists on the season. An incredible player. Again, every time I watch him, I'm still amazed that he's only 20 years old. I'm still amazed at the story of him being moments away from going to Penn State. And, you know, here's a question for you, Jose. How much different does this Philadelphia Union team look, not only this year, but last year, if there is no Frankie Westfield? Does Olivier Bizo see more playing time? Because we know that Nathan Harriel played a lot of center back, and I think maybe part of that is because there's no way you could keep both Nathan and Frankie on the bench, and so you had to find ways to get both in the lineup. But what if Frankie Westfield winds up going to Penn State? How different does this Union team look? Does it open up an opportunity for Olivier Bizo? Potentially, but not having Frankie, and this is not a knock on Nathan, but Frankie's, in my mind, the better attacker going forward, better defender. I don't know. I think there's a debate to be had, but for sure, I think Frankie's a lot better going forward than Nate has been in his career. And last season, you have Kai on the left, Frankie on the right. Now teams have to respect both fullbacks. Where this year, you didn't have Kai Wagner, Now you become one-dimensional on the right side of the field. Now teams can maybe double team Frankie and make it difficult for him to go forward. But now you bring Kai back into the mix. Now things get interesting because the Union are going to push both fullbacks up. Both fullbacks can create, like we've seen in back-to-back games with Kai and Frankie.
I mean, that's a big ass like butterfly effect type of question, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What if Westfield wasn't part of this team and he would have gone to college? I don't know that he would have been around college too long. I think he would have been like a 1 year and then jump to, I guess, what is it, 2 years now necessary, mandatory? I can't remember anymore because obviously the Union don't deal with the draft at all. So I can't remember if it's have to do a mandatory first or maybe 2 years.
We need
before
Mark
they jump into this. Yeah, we need put the bat signal out, right?
I'll call him.
But yeah, man, like it would be such a different team without him. And Frankie just brings an incredible edge to this team. And those that don't know, somehow still don't know of him, I think find out very quickly that for the flaws that he may have in his game, which aren't many, he makes up with a variety of other things. And I think most importantly, the way that he's willing to not be afraid of just getting up in someone's face, being physical, but within the laws of the game, sort of straddling that line of what is actually not a card versus what is a card, or knowing the right. And again, this is like soccer IQ. He knows when he can get away with a nasty foul, like early in the game, like he can get away with making sure that what was it, Mehmeti or Rubalcaba, right? Like that he knows, like, listen, you might be better than me at certain parts of your game, but like you're not just going to walk through me. I'm going to make sure that you feel the next 2 tackles, and then I'll lay off, but you'll think about it twice before you come at me on a one-on-one sort of dribble and a duel per se. But adjectives, I think, starting to fail to come to my mind on how to describe this guy, other than like at this point, like I don't know that he should be in this league anymore. I think he should be developing somewhere else. And I know people hate to say that, like, oh, the Union get rid of the young guys when they're just starting to get good. It's like, yeah, because they're probably too good for this league. And Frankie, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, probably has bigger dreams than we all know, right? I'm guessing Europe is something that he's interested. I know I've shared with you some of the teams that I have been told have been interested in Frankie. Whether they submitted bids or not, I don't know. But the list of names is pretty damn strong. I know I was shocked when I heard it. Not that I didn't believe in the kid, but like to think that a Union 19, 20-year-old would get that type of interest was pretty impressive to me. So when he goes, I think he deserves nothing but respect, and he'll get that because he has shown that he is the mold for what you would want out of a right back out of the Philadelphia Union, especially one that's actually born from Philadelphia and has gone through the system, right? Like what a story that is.
Yeah, as Jay says, Frankie's Northeast Philly toughness brings a much needed edge to the team. Absolutely agree. Pyra says Frankie to Europe, maybe La Liga. I think there's a lot of leagues that Frankie could play in. And the one thing that I find maybe not so, maybe it is interesting, right? Somebody fact check me, but didn't Alex Freeman and Frankie Westfield both come up last season? Wasn't last season their debut years with their respective clubs with Philadelphia and Orlando City? And we see Alex make that move to Villarreal in La Liga. Maybe Frankie follows suit and winds up in La Liga. But I think he's a player, I'll say in the next year, Jose. I almost said 2 years, but I think the next year we'll see him start getting call-ups with the national team. I really do.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure Serginho Dest will still get them, but you got to start seeing the next wave. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Frankie late adds to some of those youth national team camps? And every time that he got called up, he continued to impress.
Yeah, he was part of that. I'm just trying to remember. as I check on my child who's finally fallen asleep. Benicio is a tough one to put to bed.
Just play Pokemon.
Yeah, he was a late add to the no, he was a late add to the camp in Chile, and then once he got in camp, he just impressed. I believe he started the first game, and then due to minute restrictions, only played like 45 or 50 minutes of the second game because there's shaking of hands between club and the U.S. national team when some of these call-ups happen on the number of minutes that they want him to play, minimum and maximum. So I can't imagine that there was a maximum for Frankie Westfield, especially during his first international call-up like that. But man, like we talk about opportunities, right? I know you and I in our immediate orbit, we have friends that are in a dilemma per se of like having an opportunity that most people would die for. And our answer is like, no, dude, like just break the door and don't look back. Just get in there and make it known that you want to be there forever. I think that's what Frankie had with this U20 call up back for that Chile double game. And dude, like once he got in, like has not looked back and has opened the eyes of a lot of people, not just domestically. But I know even in like the MLS writers group, like my goodness, like he and Neil Pierre are sort of on the same sentences when we talk about, prospects for 2030. And that's pretty darn impressive. So I would think the championship's actually a pretty good spot for him. Just can't be a team that gets relegated. Belgium would be very good too. Italy feels like a little too slow, but he would learn a lot about defending,
which would help his game.
Which would help his game. But if he wants to, I would think, and you're far more analytical than I am, and that's why I love to associate with you, Todd. But like, I would think that the championship, if he wanted to flex his athleticism, he would be so good with a Birmingham City, right? Could you have imagined a Kai Wagner left back and a Frankie Westfield right back in the championship? Like what an insane pairing that would have been.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, like I wouldn't want to see him go to a club like Burnley just because of how much of a yo-yo club that they've been. Just constantly going up and down, up and down. You're back up in the Premier League. Now you're down back in the Championship. You want to go to a team that I feel like has a chance to potentially stay. Like I feel like Sunderland could have been one of those teams where they had been down in all the different divisions for a while after they got relegated from the Premier League. And now it seems like they finally found a good reset. They obviously stay in the Premier League, which I was a little bit shocked seeing that we got a team that just got promoted staying in the Premier League. And Sunderland impressed, I thought, too, at a lot of moments. I think Schalke was incredible for them towards the end of his career with Arsenal. I don't think he was all that and winds up leaving to go to Bayern Leverkusen and then obviously comes back to the Premier League with Sunderland and was a huge player for them. And I don't know, I mean, could a Sunderland be a potential club? And I know that's a Premier League team, but yeah, just looking at the teams, Southampton potentially. I know they've had a lot of Americans in the past. That could be a potential opportunity. I know we keep seeing the rumors of Max Arfston potentially going to Middlesbrough, so that would obviously take away a club since both Frankie and Max play on the right-hand side of the field. West Ham, do you believe West Ham are going to come back up to the Premier League? And I was a little bit shocked that they finally got relegated, but if they get promoted to the Premier League after the season, I could see them staying back up for a couple of seasons. So maybe a team like West Ham could be an option for Frankie Westfield. You're right, though, Jose. A lot of suitors for his game, and I'd be shocked. I honestly would be shocked if he's on the Philadelphia Union next season. He's incredible. But I do want to play two clips. One, Frankie Westfield talking about Kai Wagner, how he's helped his development as a player. And then two, Ryan Richter talking about Frankie Westfield. So we'll go to the Ryan clip, and then we'll go to the Frankie on Kai Wagner. But here is Ryan Richter talking about Frankie Westfield.
Listen, Frankie is he's very good on the ball, and he's capable of playing a lot of different types of passes that can lead to assists. So like an example from his assist tonight is the early deep ball behind the space in the back line. Like, he's capable of this, and Milan like can recognize and read that he has this pass. So the timing works for the two of them. He's good with the crosses from deep. He can get into the assist zone and play cutback crosses. He can, if you think of the ball he played in the second half to Ezekiel, where he comes across him, plays into the middle of the field. He has a variety of passes from that position, and ones that can be really dangerous, that can lead to goals. So it's no surprise to me that he has assists in 3 straight games, but it's one that, because he's capable of a different variety of the types of passes that he can play from that position.
And that's just it. You called me last night, Jose, and we were talking about that, where he just knows where to be on the field, and it's not take a touch. It's, all right, I'll be in this position, and I'm going to first time cross it. And that takes a lot of skill, right, to hit it first time and to play it as accurately as Frankie seems to do more often than not. And I feel like, especially with Cavan on the right side of the field, I feel like both players are going to continue to get better as the season goes on, Jose.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are just going to be so good. I mean, how well they're playing. Cavan as a 16-year-old, sure, gets rocked by a 19-year-old, but like, it's so funny. I share that video of sort of like highlights of Cavan. It wasn't like an every touch video that I know people put out. It was more of like, okay, like these are some good actions where you can actually get something, both good and bad, right? From watching Cavan. And the amount of people are like, soccer IQ's not there. Soccer IQ's not there. I'm like, brother, he's 16. I don't think his frontal lobe is like fully developed. Like let's simmer down a little bit. But with him and Frankie, just the partnership and the understanding, you can even notice it, especially that game against Red Bull and the way that they connected and linked up. And sure, Red Bull made it pretty easy for them to do that. But I don't want to take anything away that they seem to have this really good understanding of how to triangulate with them, and maybe even bring in Danley, or maybe bring in Jacques when he finds himself seldomly nowadays a little bit more forward, and just this really good understanding of where they're supposed to be to make things flow. So those two growing next to each other at the same club is something that everybody should enjoy.
Let me correct myself real quick. I said Max Arfsten plays on the right-hand side. Definitely plays on the left-hand side with Columbus.
Yeah, he's a left back.
Don't know what I was thinking. So I don't know. Maybe Middlesbrough makes a lot of sense to me, actually, now that I think about it with Aidan Morris there. The rumors of Max Arfsten potentially going to Middlesbrough. I don't know. That wouldn't be a bad place, in my opinion, for Frankie Westfield to wind up. Going to a club in England that trusts young American players. Yeah, I can convince myself that Middlesbrough actually makes a ton of sense for Frankie Westfield next season, especially if they're pushing for promotion to the Premier League. I might have just convinced myself, Jose, that Middlesbrough should be the club. And I'm not just saying that because Aidan Morris and Max Arfsten are there, but I feel like they've been so close the last couple of years going back to the Premier League, and you want a club that's not a mid-table team in the championship. You want a team that's constantly fighting for a playoff spot, and yeah, I think I'm convinced, Jose. I convinced myself that it should be Middlesbrough, and maybe I can be convinced that it should be West Ham too. But Ryan said a lot of good there. Jay says Wrexham. No, I mean, maybe Rob has a small say, but does he even know who the Philadelphia Union are? I know they're playing Sunderland, I believe, at Subaru Park on Sunday. I know they were there, last year, 2 years ago against Union too. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm a hater. I don't care for the Wrexham story. Like, it's cool.
Wait, that's this Sunday?
Yeah, I believe so.
I didn't even realize that. I kind of want to go, but it's just a lot of games.
It's a lot of games, bro. It's a lot of games.
Oh,
but,
yeah. All right.
Let's play this last clip of Frankie talking about Kai Wagner and what he's meant for his development, because we know, Jose, Jose, you asked Kai when he was on this show back in January about Frankie Westfield, and Kai had a lot of good to say about him, saying that he sees a lot of Frankie in himself, Kai that is. So this is what Frankie had to say last night about how Kai's helped with his development the last year and a half.
I think every single day, Kai's definitely a guy I look up to. I know we play opposite sides of the field, but just like even when I was in the academy and I wasn't on the first team or the second team yet, I was still looking up to Kai every single day, every single game or training, just to see what he does, because he's the best left back in the league for me. And he's a great role model, great leader. That's something I try to be every single day. So hearing him say that and give me the kind words just like that, I think that makes my day and it makes me strive for more. But he's definitely a guy I look up to every single day and hope to be like I see him one day.
So Blunder of the week goes to me for dropping my phone towards the end of that quote. My hand was getting so tired, dude, just holding it nonstop and trying to make sure nobody gets in the way of the camera. And I don't know, my hand just felt numb and dropped it a little bit. I was like, oh no, he's not done talking. Worst possible moment to drop my phone. But yeah, Kai Wagner being back at the club. And even if Kai didn't come back to Philadelphia, I mean, having a player like him to learn from and to watch, whether it be up close or like Frankie said, when he wasn't even with Union 2 or the first team, when he was in the academy, still going to games and watching how Kai presents himself on the field. And yeah, I can't think of a better player for a fullback to learn from than Kai Wagner, whether it be on the left or the right. It's a phenomenal player going forward, phenomenal defender. And I think that's such a cool opportunity that Frankie gets to be up close and personal and call Kai his teammate again.
Yeah, I can't think of a outside of, and this could be controversial, outside of like Jordi Alba back in the his stint with MLS. Like I can't think of a better left back to learn from than Kai, right, in MLS for Frankie. Because there are so many parallels between the two in terms of that attitude that they have. I don't mean that in a negative way, but rather the way that they just like play the game with a lot of like, listen, like again, I have flaws in my game, but I'm gonna make up for them in many other ways. Never mind the crossing, and again, 10 assists as a right back. That's a great year so far. It's a great year. Yeah, he's learned from
Frankie.
The best.
Wait, Frankie has 10 assists.
Yeah, isn't that what the email said? 10th assist of the season?
There's no way.
Or did I read that so quickly?
You might have. There's no way. Let's look it up.
Let's look it up.
Trying to look it up.
It was on the recap from last.
10 overall from 2025 and 2026. He had 5 last year, 5 this season.
All right. 5 assists. Yes, I read that too quickly. 5 assists this season, still a pretty damn good number.
I agree. He tied his number and
still has half a season.
13 games he's played this season for the Union, played 25. So almost half the games he's tied that already. It is unbelievable. But 2 more things to get to. Real quick, here from Nathan Harriol, you talked about the players buying in, having the belief from Ryan Richter. And then, Jose, I do want you to lead Blunder of the Week, since you did give me the idea for Blunder of the Week. So, players buying into Ryan Richter, his style of play, his character in the locker room is obviously making a big difference. And this is what Harriol had to say on the differences with Ryan Richter now as the interim coach.
I think just the freedom and joy is back, nothing against Bradley. He did an incredible job last year. We won a supportership. We had some new pieces. We lost some veteran pieces. But just to be back to a familiar setting, Ryan knows us all from the academy and the time he spent as an assistant coach for the first team. Just bring back familiarity and just bring back the joy in everyone's faces, which is nice.
I mean, what more needs to be said? The joy in the players' faces. And he said it, credit to him, didn't want to throw Bradley Cornell under the bus, said no offense to Bradley, didn't say it, but not taking shots at Bradley, but yeah, we're familiar with Ryan as an assistant coach, having familiarity with a lot of these players in the academy. We're happy. There's joy on our face, and you see it after the game. You see it at practices, Jose. I don't think, and there was some people talking last night, Ryan Richter is going to get the job just because. Like, no, I think if Ryan Richter gets the full-time head coach job, it's because he earned it, Jose, and not because, the union don't want to pay too much for another coach, not because, the union won a couple more games. And look, maybe the union don't make the playoffs, Jose, but if you see a lot more positives this season and the players keep talking about the joy, I think Ryan Richter has a real shot, not just because, the union are cheap and don't want to bring in an established coach.
Yeah. I think people are also discounting the fact that, like, who knows who's going to be available, right? At the end of the season, that could be a possibility for the union to contract as a coach. You just never know who's going to be in the coaching carousel available. I don't think that there's much else to add. I know I hinted at the sound bit a little bit earlier, but I do appreciate that Nate is one of us, where I also have many polos with that curled collar that I just don't know how to get rid of. that it's just like, like I can't get it to not be like curling up. And like I try so hard to steam it. I try so hard to like iron it. But like once it goes that way, I have a really hard time bringing the collar down. So I appreciate just how much Nate is like us, except he's a crazy athlete.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, always a fan of collared shirts, collared jerseys. I know you're a big fan of that, Jose. Love Icarus in United Soccer Coaches. I just realized, looking on the screen, everything that I do is opposite. So I got a touch over here for Icarus. love supporting Philly companies. But yeah, Blunder of the week, Jose, before we end it. Oh, one more thing to add?
No. Sorry. I was just going like this. Yeah.
My bad. So one more topic of the night. I know we haven't done it in a while, and I told Jose, I'm like, man, I feel so bad. We haven't had a Blunder of the week in a while. Problem is, I don't really know what Blunder of the week should be. And that's why I tell you guys every episode. And I know we just hit 500 followers on Instagram today, Jose. There's more and more people finding the podcast, listening to the podcast. I'm sure there's people, whether it be in the RSS feed, whether it be people watching on Twitter or on YouTube, watching the podcast for the very first time. And so I started years and years and years ago a segment called Blunder of the Week, which essentially anything that has to be a blunder, whether it's an actual blunder on the field or something that you think is just a not good moment on the soccer field or off of it, something that's related to soccer, that could be a blunder. And so I say it all the time. If you guys have a Blunder of the Week nominated, let me know. And if we get multiple nominations, then I'll go ahead and play dictatorship and have the final say. I won't give you guys the choice of voting. But I'm always open. I'm always down for people's nominations for Blunder of the Week. And so that's why, Jose, it's your time to shine with Blunder of the Week.
Yeah, you want to play the clip first, or I guess I'll give a little context.
It's loading. It's trying to load in there.
Oh, gotcha. It's loading. Let me work through some of this time for it to upload. For MLS this weekend, I was given the opportunity to write about the Hell is Real rivalry between the Columbus Crew and Cincinnati. So I got to watch that game. That was my priority match for the weekend. Not the Union, but rather this. I consider an honor. I don't know, but like a pretty important game in the MLS season every single year, twice every single year, sometimes even more when it's a playoff. But these teams don't like each other. They really do build up into this match and how much they dislike each other and their disdain for one another. And the blunder of this week, this show is Gerardo Valenzuela. Valenzuela, who Daniel Gastag ended up scoring the winning goal, actually, in the 46th minute. Surprise, surprise, through a penalty kick. 2 penalty kicks in 2 games also, may I add, for the Columbus Crew. But at the end of the game, as it was pretty apparent that Cincinnati was not going to get another chance, Gerardo Valenzuela comes from off the frame of the camera, which it was kind of a close up, but also you can tell that it was a pretty wide shot considering the distance that he must have traveled to come in and do this. just comes and swings his leg so hard at is it Taha Habroune, I believe is his name. Habroune, I believe is his last name. And just takes him out, man. And it's just such an apparent red. And even in talking and commenting on this video with folks in Cincinnati, they swear that this was not violent conduct. I want you all in the chat and even listening, please watch this and comment if you thought this is violent conduct, because I don't think that it could be any more clear if you watch that game. 90 minutes of these teams hating each other, never mind the rivalry game, never mind them not getting another chance, and just the way that the game went, that this is violent conduct. So Todd, I like to think that that was enough time for you to load up the clip. Let it roll. Dude.
You know, usually when we show videos, these people can't hear us. The listeners can't listen. They can't hear us.
That's right.
So I don't know. They might be able to, since there's no sound. So we're going to assume you guys can hear us, and I'm not going to show this whole clip. But even if the lovely people on Twitter and YouTube can't hear the conversation right now, the people on the RSS feed certainly can hear. But yeah, this is apparently people can hear us. This is great. So this is what happens when you don't include audio. Now I know, trial and error. But I mean, look at the look on his face. Like, I mean, you clearly know what you're doing there, Valenzuela. There is absolutely no need. I mean, there was clear frustration, Jose.
Clear.
You're down 2-1, and we'll get the replay right here. Yeah, you're right.
Dude, watch this.
It was Habroune.
Oh,
I don't know
God.
why I put down Gazog on StreamYard. I changed it to Columbus player. Yeah, I mean, so bad. Let's go ahead. Can I go back and replay that now? Probably not. Yeah, so bad. I mean, so bad, Jose. It's clear frustration for sure. Blunder of the week, and not that I think it had anything to do with Cincinnati potentially coming back and tying the game up, but now you're going to miss, I would imagine, 3 games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The one comment that I saw people are making was that of, the referee got the yellow out first, and then he must have talked himself into a red, meaning the player, or the fact that it became a skirmish and this and that. It's just like, guys, it's pretty clear that's a red. Like, I don't understand how you don't think that's violent. Not even, yes, violent contact, but it's just violent conduct. Even if he wouldn't have landed the kick, like, it's so obvious that he's going to, like, not the ball. He's going to harm the player. Okay, sexy. All right. Contrarian 101 over here. But yeah, that's 100% violent conduct. Easiest red I've seen all year, I think.
Such an easy red. But I do agree with Hoagie, if I can find it. She said, Blunder of the month is England playing defense after being up against Messi. Never forget. Yeah, I mean, if we were more consistent throughout the World Cup, we needed a break, folks. I'm still not over it. I mean, don't you see the giant England flag in the background? I mean, I'm not over with that cowardly performance from Thomas Tuchel. When England had the opportunity, they wouldn't have beat Spain, I don't think, Jose. But they for sure could have beat Argentina. I think England would have gave a better World Cup final. They wouldn't have sat back and parked the bus against Spain. I think it would have been both teams going at each other. But God, how do you... come on, Hoagie, why'd you have to do it? Just when I was getting over it. I don't want to talk anymore. I mean, what a cowardly performance by Tuchel. I mean, yeah, now Harry Kane's prime's wasted. England don't have another striker coming up the pipeline. throw what, 30? Is Harry Kane 34? I'll look it up real quick. 36. He is 32, so he'll be 36 next World Cup. England.
To be fair, that made Argentina losing the final that much sweeter for those who wanted them to lose. And I guess happy seventh day of celebration for those that celebrate Argentina's downfall, right? So, yeah, I don't know, man. That should be blunder of the year, the way that England and I know, I forget where I saw it. I know valuations are not everything in the sport. Of course they're not, but like how many billions of dollars that English team is, and they decide to park the bus on the final couple of minutes against Argentina. It's just crazy.
Look, the last thing I'll say about that, and this is all your fault, Sexy Hoagie, by the way. The top 6 clubs in England really have struggled, in my opinion, creating a dominant attacking player other than Harry Kane. I feel like that's the last like world-class attacking player. I wouldn't say Saka's world-class. I think he's had moments, but I think a lot of injuries have caught up with him because he's played at such a young age. Jude Bellingham's obviously world-class, but he wasn't developed by a top 6 club. Obviously, that was Birmingham City and then moving to Dortmund and Real Madrid. And Chelsea's not producing anybody that's world-class. Maybe people would say Cole Palmer, but obviously doesn't get caught up. I think Phil Foden had a potential shot of being world-class. He's definitely shown moments of being a world-class player, but I don't think he's shown it consistently. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot wrong, I think, with, and I get it, right? I mean, it's difficult to produce a world-class player, but look at that Spanish side, Jose. Rodri, world-class player. Manchester City played a huge part in his development. He's not an attacking player. And yeah, sure, I mean, there are players on England that I think are very, very, very class. A lot of, whether it be defenders, other midfielders, Declan Rice, I think, is a really, really class player. But like attacking players, England need world-class attacking players. Lamine Yamal, world-class for Spain. How many world-class players on Argentina? Maybe not too many other than Messi. France surely has a lot. Elise, Mbappe. I mean, where are these players for England being produced by top 6 clubs? They're non-existent. But that's all I'll say on that, Jose. Thanks, Hoagie.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm here just hoping that Bolivia somehow make the field of 64 or whatever crazy number the World Cup's going to be in 2030 or 2034. So, Bolivia has produced Marco El Diablo Echeverri and Jaime Moreno, MLS legends, but that's I guess Marcelo Martins is another one who played with Shakhtar Donetsk for the longest time, and not a lot of big blips of attacking players from Bolivia. I can tell you that.
Not yet. You got a couple. You got a couple that
the one sleeping right now, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But Jose, anything you want to plug? I know, like you mentioned, you just wrote for MLS, Hell is Real, Columbus Crew, FC Cincinnati. Anything else you have coming up? Anything else you want to mention?
No, just the MLS article that is posted online right now. Gave Gastag a little bit of attention. Playing better from watching that game, playing a lot better than he was prior to, I should say, during the first half of the season, and never mind the way he started over there last year. But beyond that, I should have an MLS assignment this weekend. I think I have to switch. Andre asked me to switch it, and I think I have something for work too on Saturday evening that I need to sort out. So I had hoped for a Sunday evening assignment, but since MLS only plays on Saturday next week, I might just be off the hook and have to not have an assignment. So not much else to plug. It'll be nice to have a kind of a quiet week leading into Saturday with MLS not having a midweek game.
Yeah, I agree. If you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod. Again, just hit 500 followers on Instagram. So I applaud all of you guys that are interacting, enjoying the content that mostly Jasmine's creating on there. The only thing that I do is add the videos, but yeah, she does all the hard part. But yeah, follow on social media, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel live, every single podcast, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod. Also, post goals breakdown videos tomorrow, late Monday, I believe I'll post the goals breakdown video, 1 goal to break down, a couple chances here or there for the Union, but not much, honestly. Maybe we'll get a 10-minute video. I love to talk, obviously, an hour, 14 minutes in. So, yeah, watch that wind up being 14-minute video. But if you guys want to check out the goals breakdown video, the podcast, or my writing all in one place, thefreekick.substack.com. And as Jose said, I'm tired. He's tired. I do want to write a Frankie Westfield article, but I don't know. I need to catch up on sleep. Honestly, guys, it's been a chaotic last week. It's been chaotic with Jose for traveling. So we'll see. Do I get the energy to write another article this week? We shall see. But we enjoy all you guys watching live, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, interacting with us. Love all the comments coming in. Thank you guys for all the support. Again, we try to keep you guys as informed as possible. We may not say things that you guys agree with us all the time about. We may say things that are completely factually wrong. Like I said, Max Arfsten is a right back when clearly he's a left back. But you know what? You guys still love us anyway, and we appreciate you for that. So, with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.